Are you looking for colorful perennials to grace your garden with early spring color? Stay with me and I'll tell you about 10 of my favorite spring blooming perennials. Welcome to Garden Crossings. I'm Heidi. The first one we're going to talk about is false indigo or baptisia. It's a beautiful native perennial with tall flower spikes, and it comes in a lot of different colors. Colors such as blues, reds, yellows, whites, and pink. It's a beautiful drought tolerant perennial, and it's hardy in zones 4 to 9. So pretty much anyone watching this video probably could grow baptisia in your garden. It's for full sun and a deer resistant perennial. Another one of my spring favorites is Columbine or Achalegia. The blooms come in a solid color or in a bicolor, shades of yellow, pink, red, blue, beautiful blooms, native, a compact habit. Usually they only get about maybe 18 or so inches tall. They can be grown in full sun to part shade locations and are deer and rabbit resistant. Hardy in zones 3 to 9. So again, another great selection that most of us here can be growing in our gardens. And another little tip is if you let the seed heads dry or the little flower pods dry and they hold beautiful seeds, you can sprinkle those all over your garden if you want to have just a huge array of Columbine blooms in the spring. Do this with caution though, because they do seed very well. Another great perennial is the Regina or pig squeak. It gets its name from if you rub the leaves together, it kind of does a little squeaky noise. It's a great plant for shady locations, and it just adds that beautiful bold splash of color in the spring to those dark spots in your garden. It's a ground cover that creeps slowly, so it's not going to take over your garden, but it is going to continue to get bigger and bigger year after year. We do recommend planting in a well-drained, fertile soil location. It can get 18 inches tall or so and up to 32 inches wide. Deer and rabbit resistant and hardy in zones 4 to 9. If you love those beautiful little viola flowers, they are a great spring bloomer, but also the colors will last you throughout the summer. They come in various colors, shades of yellow, white, purple, burgundy, lightly fragrant. Some of them are more fragrant than others. And even the flowers, if you like to create beautiful salads, the flowers are edible. They can be grown in full sun to full shade locations and are hardy in zones 5 to 9. They do like to be grown in moderate to moist locations. Oh, the bleeding heart or dicentra, that is just a sure sign of spring for me. Beautiful heart-shaped blooms that just dangle off these weeping stems. They are just so gorgeous, and lots of color for your shade to part shade garden. The flowers, they come in shades of red, pink, and white. And even the foliage has some interest as well, from a green foliage to kind of a bright chartreuse green color. I will say bleeding heart do go dormant in the summer, so if all of a sudden they're done blooming, it gets warm and you notice your plant is no longer there, not to worry. That's the habit of that plant, is that it does go dormant for the summertime. It's hardy in zones 3 to 9 and is again another great deer resistant perennial. Creeping flax is a nice ground cover that just creates a mat of spring blooms. Creeping flax comes in colors of purples, bright pinks, light pinks, whites, all the favorite colors of mine for sure, and they're very vibrant. They grow 8 to 10 inches tall and will spread 18 or even more inches wide depending on the maturity of the plant. Hardy in zones 3 to 8, they like to be planted in a full sun location. Cushion spurge or euphorbia, the one that's really popping to my mind is bonfire, has bright yellow flowers in the spring. The foliage is fabulous in the fall, so it's kind of one of those perennials that gives you kind of that twofer, the spring blooms and the fabulous fall foliage. Easy to grow, hardy in zones 5 to 9, deer and rabbit resistant, and really quite drought tolerant once it gets established. Lungwort or Pulmonaria, another great shade plant for early spring color. The flowers kind of go through transitions as they're blooming. Shades of pink, shades of blue, shades of purple, and the foliage is great all summer long. Green foliage with splashes of white or splashes of silver. So even when it's done flowering, the foliage adds a little pop of color into those shady areas as well. It likes to be grown in moist, fertile soil, deer and rabbit resistant, hardy in zones 3 to 9, and likes to be grown in the part shade to full shade areas. Nepeta or catnip, another great long blooming perennial that will bloom virtually throughout the full summer. Starts off blooming early. When you find that the blooms start to kind of fizzle and fade, go ahead and give it a light trim and it will be right back to blooming, usually within another 2, maybe 3 weeks or so. So that's just one that you can cycle those blooms all summer to have great purple color. It's very low maintenance. There's several varieties available, ranging anywhere from 12 inches up to 3 foot tall. It's fragrant, and your cat, if you want a little snip a bit off, might even enjoy that as well. Hardy in zones 3 to 8 and deer and rabbit resistant. Hellebore or Lenten rose. Those ones just really have a place in my heart. I love those flowers. They are one of the absolute very first flowers to bloom in my garden in the spring. The flowers are singles or doubles and come in a lot of different colors. Shades of burgundy, shades of pink, shades of white, splotchy, peachy, yellow, almost near black. A lot of different color options. And like I said, single or double blooms. They like to be grown in shade to part shade locations, easy to grow, long blooming. Even after those flowers are not in their prime anymore, they still look gorgeous in the garden for several weeks and even up to several months. I would say the flower color, 2 months, and you'll still have beautiful blooms on those hellebore. Hardy in zones 4 to 9, they get about 18 to 24 inches tall and are deer resistant. If you are interested in any of the plants that I've talked about today, early blooming perennials that will give your garden color in the spring, I will put their links in the description below so you can click on and see the names of all the plants I'm referring to. And if you're interested in anything I talked about today, you can head on over to our website at gardencrossings.com. Leave comments below if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them for you. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.